This is Douglas Bickford reporting from Christmas Valley, Oregon, and it's the 6:25 a.m. I am on YouTube teaching self-esteem, self-love, because 6 months ago I left a very toxic marriage. Okay. And the only reason I got in the marriage because I had no self-love, self-esteem. I was down and out. I was confused. I was hurt. I didn't know where I was going. I was in a fog. I had no idea what was going on. I left everything I owned, okay, except for my 3 cats and my RV, an old RV, an old van, and some few clothes, and that was it. I left my life's material possessions to get away from a toxic relationship. It was a completely dysfunctional family. Anyway, that's why I'm here on YouTube teaching how to attain self-esteem. Okay, self-love they call it, because it's been trained out of us. Now, you're gonna find me. You will find me. I have faith in the Creator, in goodness. If you don't believe in God, I happen to believe in a Creator. I call it the Great Spirit. Okay. When you get to the point you're seeking change and you need to hear this message, you will find Douglas Bickford. Okay. You will. That's what I believe. Whatever it is, whether it's God, whether it's goodness, whether it's Jehovah, whether it's Joseph Smith, whether it's all the names that people call the Creator, God, that will direct you to me. Okay. Because I believe we're all connected. And we are all connected. I know we're all connected. And it includes the animals too. Animals have spirits, unlike you've been taught. And they will live forever once they pass on to, just like we pass on to a better place. Okay. Wherever we go, nobody knows. But I know that I'm connected to that. I can feel it because I have it in here. And it's because of the one simple concept that God, goodness, wants you to hear right now. Go to the mirror and look at yourself and say, I love you. Boom. That will save you from the rest of your life in misery, lonely, having that void that you all have and feel. And you can't fix it. You've tried many things to fix it. Churches, material possessions, new cars, new job, new person, new love relationship, a new relationship. You've tried many things and you never fill it. Again, that's why you found me. So I can tell you how to find out how to love yourself with self-esteem, and then it will connect you. You'll be one with the universe when that happens. And it's a very simple process. Just say, I love you in the mirror. And then the book, The Portable Therapist by Doctor of Psychology Susanna McMahon, is in a link. Click on the link. It's in the description of the video. To get the book, read it. Okay, now this is the chapter number 38 out of that book. I'm going through every chapter in the book. Who is the inner child? Emotionally, we never grow up. Our feelings do not mature. Anger or sadness in a 2-year-old are same emotions in an adult. You hear what I said? We never grow up emotionally, folks. That's why the divorce rate is 75%. Our feelings do not mature. Anger and sadness in a 2-year-old are the same emotions in adults. So you have a 2-year-old living inside of you. We all have it, man or woman. It doesn't make any difference. You know, like the temper tantrum, you see it. You've seen them. The lady or man with a little kid having a temper tantrum in the store because they're not getting what they want or whatever. That's exactly what you have living in you. And until you realize that and tame down the inner child, that's what happens inside you. And this chapter will describe or will explain it. The way in which we express our feelings can be immature or mature manifestations of emotions, but the feelings themselves are timeless. One way to think of the inner child is as the unappointed guardian of our emotional warehouse. He or she rules over our emotions and our needs until the needs are met and emotions are acknowledged. Only when the inner child is parented, taken care of, will she or he allow the adult side of ourselves to guard the warehouse. What is stored in this warehouse, which is the domain of the inner child? All the pain, all the rejections, the loneliness, the abandonment, the fears and insecurities of our lives. Every time we have been hurt, every rejection, every painful message that we have ever received is stored away in the inner child. How do we know that our inner child is there? Every time we overreact to a stimulus, the inner child is acting out. Whenever we feel out of control and helpless, our inner child has taken over. Whenever our needs are controlling our behaviors, the inner child is demanding to be taken care of. Each time that we feel helpless or hopeless or completely overwhelmed, and the feelings do not match the reality of the situation, our inner child is yelling for attention. Does everyone have an inner child? Yes. All of us began by perceiving the world through the child's eyes. All of us have some memories of those perceptions. The child within us remembers the helpless feeling out of control. This child has countless experiences of unfairness, and he or she remembers all of them. This child personally knows how difficult it is to make sense of a world which is incomprehensible. The inner child has learned what works in the short term, and what works is to yell and scream and demand attention, or become passive, withdrawn, and helpless, and to wait for help. If help does not arrive, then hopelessness sets in. Whether the child overtly acts out or passively withdraws, the inner child knows that he or she does not have control over what will happen. A healthy inner child knows how to trust that his or her needs will be met, and this child learns how to delay gratification. Most of us, unfortunately, do not have healthy inner children. Most of us are aware that we have several roles or facets of ourselves: the adult side, the child side, the parent side, the professional side, and so on. As adults, we tend to like the grown-up side of ourselves and to deny or ignore the childish sides, especially when we are embarrassed by the behaviors exhibited by the child. Most of us are trained to feel that we should be grown up, and we tend to suppress our child. We certainly suppress the negative side of the child, the acting out side, but we also suppress the positive side, the spontaneous, excited, playful side. Our inner child will only be suppressed temporarily. The child will come out when we are least expecting it, and he or she will often behave in a shocking way. It is as if this child is trying to get back at us for not giving attention she or he needs. Most of us are in a power struggle with our inner children. She says most of us. Okay? Not me anymore. Because I gained self-esteem because of this book and because of the one simple concept I said to you. Because you also say, I also say to myself, I love my inner child. I'm going to take care of my inner child. I'm never going to put my inner child through what I put my inner child through for 65 years, up to about 4.5 months ago. Okay, what we do not realize is that the inner child has control of our emotions while we try to control our logical thoughts. As we know, perhaps too painfully, that emotions usually rule over logic. You all know what I'm talking about. You're out of control crying, in a rage. That's all coming from the inner child inside you that hasn't been taken care of. The inner child is powerful only when not recognized and when the pain is not acknowledged. This is the secret of the inner child. Okay, so the next chapter talks about the inner what we can do for the inner child. I'm gonna go ahead and continue it in this, so you'll have them both together. And it's chapter 39. What can I do for my inner child? Begin by recognizing your inner child. That's the first thing you got to do. Then acknowledge that your child is in pain, even if you do not understand all of the pain. Remember what it feels like to be a child in pain. Allow your inner child to be angry with you. Know that you are more than your inner child and that you are the only one who can take care of your child. How do you recognize your inner child? It helps to go through old photo albums, if available, and to find a picture of yourself before you were 5 years old. Take that picture out and put it somewhere where you will look at it often. If you can, carry it around with you and look at it several times each day. Become familiar with the way your inner child looks. It is more difficult to deny or ignore someone that we see every day. Try to remember what life was really like for this child and how the child felt during its childhood. Go back into your past with your child's eyes. Remember, you're not a child and you will not get stuck in your past as your inner child is. You must know what you are dealing with before you can help your child. I know that mine went through a lot of pain because I was sexually molested and abused as a child. My whole childhood was like that's, and I acknowledge that, and I've accepted that that happened to me. And that's where people get stuck. They deny it ever happened, and then the inner child is just hopeless, withdrawn, and you know what I mean. And that's exactly what she's talking about by going back and looking. This book will save your life, folks. I mean, it really will. Next time you are overreact to something, or feel helpless or out of control, think of your inner child as trying to communicate with you. Your child can only get your attention by using strong emotions. Do not be angry at yourself, i.e., your inner child, when you experience these strong emotions. Your anger only causes the inner child more pain, and the pain is what the inner child is yelling about. Acknowledge your inner child is in pain, even if you do not understand all of it. Your inner child is angry, sad, and afraid, all at the same time, and many of these feelings are directed at you. The child is angry and sad that you, the only person who can help, are ignoring him or her. Your inner child is afraid that you will never help, that you will never rescue and love your and parent in the way that he or she needs. Remember that your inner child is only a little child without the skills and resources that you have. And that this small child is carrying far too much pain and confusion for any child to deal with. Separate yourself from your inner child. You are the adult, the parent, the wise one. You have the necessary skills to parent the child. Do not be afraid of your child. Remember that your inner child is only powerful when you deny and ignore this child. All that is wanted is what every child wants, is to be loved and protected and safe. You and you alone can give your child what is needed. This may be a good time for you to ask for help. Many therapists are familiar with the concept of the inner child. Separate yourself from your inner child. You are the adult, the parent, the wise one, and you have necessary skills to parent this child. Do not be afraid of your child. Remember that your inner child is only powerful when you deny and ignore this child. All that child, all that is wanted, what every child wants, to be loved and protected and safe. You and you alone can give your child what is needed. This may be a good time for you to ask for help. Many therapists are familiar with the concept of the inner child and can help you parent your child. You can do it yourself, folks. Get this book and read it, and it will save you. And one of the first things to do is look yourself in the mirror and say, I love my inner child. I'm going to take care of my inner child from now on. And if you get the book, and you don't need to go hire a therapist. You've got a therapist right here in this book. It's called a portable therapist. She is giving you all the information in this book, and that's how I attained it. I've went through many therapists, and none of them have ever told me about self-esteem. And that's been my whole problem my whole life. And none of them ever taught me how to get self-esteem. So going to a therapist and paying for it, unless they're teaching you how to get self-love, is fruitless. They're just you're gonna talk and keep paying for stuff. But you can get this book for like $14 or something like that, cheap. And then you continue to watch me. Sub me, like my channel, like my videos, and share these very important videos. Anyway, there are excellent books on this topic which can help you to learn to parent your child, which this is the absolute book that you need to get and do the concepts in this, and it will give you self-esteem, because this book teaches you self-esteem. You can also learn by observing. If you're a reasonably competent parent yourself, no parent is perfect. Pay attention to what you do with your own children. If you're not a parent, observe someone who is. What do they do when their child is hurt? Needs assurance, acts out. What do they say to calm the child? How they communicate to love their child. Begin to talk to your child. Say things like, I am here. I am doing it right now. I am here for you, my inner child, for you, Douglas Bickford. I love you, my inner child. I'm going to take care of you, my inner child. I'll never put you through the pain I put you through in my past 65 years. And that's how you can do that. Say things like, I am here. I hear you. I know you're upset. I want to help. You don't have to worry. I will take care of you. I am not angry with you. I understand. Everything's going to be okay. You are good. You are full of goodness. I love you. Do not expect the child to trust you immediately. He or she has been waiting a long time for you. This testing may result in an increase in the behaviors that you do not like. You may find yourself feeling out of control and overreacting more frequently than before. Or you may think that the inner child is not there because he or she seems so passive and withdrawn. Stay with the general parenting behaviors. Your inner child is paying attention. Prepare yourself to become the ideal parent, the parent that your inner child never had but always wanted. No matter how wonderful your actual parents may have been, no matter how much attention they gave you and how much love they showered on you, it could never be enough for your inner child. Wow. So it didn't matter if you had a lot of love. I had none. Okay. So you can still be showered with it. It's just like attaining self-esteem. Okay. You will have to acknowledge it yourself. You have to say, I love you in the mirror, and do all these things for your inner child, no matter how you were raised. Wow. This lady knows what she's talking about, folks. You need to get this book. You have one big advantage over your actual parents. because your inner child is part of you and lives in you. You will know exactly what your child needs when it needs it. And you will be able to fulfill all of its needs. You are the ideal parent for your child, and your inner child is the only one for which you can be ideal. There is no such thing as perfect, but this relationship between you and your inner child is the closest to a perfect relationship you will ever have. It is not enough to recognize and accept your inner child. In order for your inner child to heal, he or she must be loved. And since you are the only person that matters to the inner child, you must love him or her, which is why you need to love yourself, folks. In order to learn to love this child, this inner child has created problems for you, that has acted out and embarrassed you so many times, that has left you feeling helpless and weak and immature. In order to learn to love this little monster inside of you, you must stop being angry, stop criticizing, blaming, and punishing this child. Because that's what you do when you punish yourself. Accept your inner child. Pay attention to him or her. When the child needs your attention, you cannot do this on your time. You must attend to the child on his or her time. Understand that your child is angry with you, but that this anger will go away. Recognize it is not your fault that the inner child is hurt. Do you hear that? It's not your fault because you've never been taught this. You did not cause all the pain, and you could not alleviate the pain up until this moment. Do not be hard on yourself, or the child will think you are being hard on him or her. Know that children always internalize the pain around them. They think it is their fault, that they are responsible. They try to be good so the situation will improve. And when it does not improve, they blame themselves. Wow. The inner child will think that it is his or her fault if you become frustrated, a frustrated parent, or if you give up. Good parenting does not mean giving in to the child. When your inner child is acting out, you can control him or her by structure and loving discipline. You can teach your inner child to learn to delay gratification as long as the child knows that gratification will occur. If you become aware of your inner child demanding attention, and you are not in a situation to stop everything and attend this child, you can say to your inner child, I hear you. I know you're upset. We will deal with this soon. Let me do what I must do right now, and I will attend to you. This is not denying the inner child, because you are aware of the message he or she is sending. This is helping the inner child to know what you are in control, that you are in control, and that you will take care of him or her as soon as possible. It is critical to keep your promise and to attend to the child, or he or she will not trust you next time. Be loving and firm, parent. The inner child needs structure and control. The simplest way to love your inner child is to do all the things that you have learned in order to love yourself. That's why I just keep going back to say I love you in the mirror, folks. It's going to start you on your journey to your inner healing, okay? I'm telling you, it works. It's magic. It's a miracle. It happened to me. I mean, you can get it. You can do this. If you don't turn me off as soon as you hear me tell you, say I love you in the mirror. Continue to watch me, please. In other words, follow the behaviors for developing self-esteem. That's exactly what I've done. For yourself, with your inner child as well as yourself. So you say, I love you. I'm going to take care of you. I hear you. I'm not going to ever do anything bad to you again in the mirror to your inner child at the same time you say I love you to yourself. It's very simple, folks. You can learn to love yourself and your inner child at the same time. Loving your inner child allows you, loving your inner child, this is huge, important. Loving your inner child allows you to love yourself. If you cannot or choose not to love your inner child, you will not be able to have self-esteem. That you have to acknowledge it. It's a huge step. You got to do it. If you want to attain self-esteem and if you want to fill that void inside you, the unloved inner child will still remain the guardian of your emotional warehouse, and you will be at war with yourself. You'll still just continue on the same way you have for years. It was a miracle I found this book. I accidentally found it. It was no coincidence. I went to my son's house as soon as I left my wife. Showed up in his driveway in my RV in my van, right? He's low, no self-esteem. He's in a terrible situation, just like I was. He's with an alcoholic woman that abuses him, emotionally. Mentally, probably hits. Who knows? I don't know anything. All I know is he's in a terrible situation because I got kicked out of there by her. Okay, she didn't want me around my son, so she destroyed his relationship with all his family. Okay. Anyway, this book was buried in a box. I was looking for a coffee cup. It was no coincidence. God drove me there. I went there to get the book. Okay. That's the only reason I went there. Anyway, or he sent me there. God, that's how God works. Okay. He will guide and direct you if you're listening. Okay. When you choose to love your inner child, what will happen? Several things, all of them wonderful. Your inner child will begin to feel safe and protected and will stop being angry and needy. The inner child will stop being your emotional guardian and will let you be in charge of your warehouse. You will no longer have unexpected outbursts from your child, and you will truly be in control of your behaviors. Your inner child will let go and allow you to function as an adult. Your inner child will become what it really is, just a small child inside of you, and you'll become a more powerful and loving adult. Your inner child will know that when he or she needs attention, he or she does not have to act out, only to ask, and you will attend to him or her. Small children really need very little to be happy, and best of all, your loved and happy inner child will allow you to be loved and happy and at times spontaneous and playful. Childish adult. It is very difficult for an adult to function at their best when they are carrying around a screaming 2-year-old with them. You've all seen the people at the grocery store taking their kids out the door screaming and yelling. That's what you got living in you until you attend to it. Your inner child deserves to be loved as you do. Learn to love yourself, self-love, both of you. That's exactly what I've done. The only thing you will lose is the pain of your past. Cool. That is such a powerful chapter. It's like, you gotta do it, folks. No matter what you think of me, think of yourself. Think of truly being happy from the inside out. It's happened to me. I go in anytime I interact, I'll put it this way. Now that I have self-love, self-esteem, and I've tamed down my inner child, I can feel something different about me anytime I interact with people. Okay. It's like night and day the way it used to be. I want to be around people and talk to people. I want to find out. I want to dig into their brains and help them with their emotional pain, because we all have emotional pain. And all the media, all the outlets that you go to and try to find happiness. YouTube, Facebook, you turn the TV on, all that will be meaningless to you. You won't even do it anymore once you gain self-esteem, self-love. You got to get the book, folks. I'm telling you, read it for yourself. Continue to watch Douglas Bickford. This all, I have transformed me into a new person. One, full of love for myself. And then the only way you can love somebody else is if you're full of love for yourself. Then you can love other people. And I'm not done with love relationships. My next relationship that God living in me finds, okay, when that person finds me, that's going to be a wonderful. I'll be rewarded for uh, she will be my perfect mate, the one that was actually intended for me to be with me right out the gate. She will be the perfect person that I'm supposed to be with. It's just a matter of time. And I don't know who that person is, but I'm not worried about it because I got all kinds of good stuff going on here already. Teaching self-esteem on YouTube, which nobody's doing, folks. Anyway, Douglas Bickford will have more for you, and you can all contact me at DouglasBickford753 at gmail.com if you want to get a hold of me, because I'm here 24/7 available to talk to anybody about how to attain self-esteem. Y'all have a great day out there.